What it would take, though, to do that is for businesses across Australia to adopt a set of generative AI technologies across a range of industries. It would also take us as a country making an investment in our workforce to make sure that we have the skill to use those technologies to their full advantage. And it will also require us as a country getting our regulatory and governance frameworks right. So we know that when we're adopting the technologies, we're doing it safely and responsibly.
It had once been thought Australia was in the box seat to capitalise on renewables. Take us through the barriers that could prevent Australia from realising the gains you say are possible.
I think with generative AI, the best way to think about it is it's a suite of different enterprise software or business software applications that can be used by pretty much every industry in our economy. And there's very few technologies that have that kind of characteristic. And that's what makes it such a superpower when it comes to a productivity boost across our economy. It's why we see so many potential gains. The barriers, though, are going to be awareness. So it's, do people know that this opportunity is available to them? It's going to be having the right skills in the business, both to know how to adopt those technologies and which ones make sense for the business, but also how to use them appropriately within the business. I think if we don't get clarity on our regulatory frameworks and our standards and our governance models, people might feel hesitant to adopt it because they won't want to do the wrong thing. And I think we will also need to see some level of incentivization for investment because we know that business investment in particular is at a low, and so we're going to need to see some of that investment to get those technologies into businesses.
Even the CEO of OpenAI is urging caution on adoption. Aren't there risks associated with accelerating the adoption of generative AI in the workplace?
The thing to understand about generative AI is that it's not one technology or one application, there's a whole variety. And so that means what we need to do is take a risk-based approach to regulation. And for those types of AI that are higher risk, not just generative AI, but something like facial recognition technology, for example, we should be very cautious about introducing those technologies. We should make sure we have the appropriate regulatory frameworks in place. Then, though, there's a bunch of applications which are much less risky. In fact, they're what I would kind of call boring tech. So some of the generative AI applications we're seeing are just helping people to write an email or taking the minutes after a meeting, or for coders, it's automatically producing some lines of code. Like, these things don't, they have a huge productivity benefit, but they don't necessarily come with a lot of harm. So for those, they're ones that we can be more comfortable about safely introducing into our workplaces. What we probably need to do there, though, is make sure we have our more general legal frameworks in good order. So things like modernising our privacy laws, which the government already has in train, would be helpful for giving people clarity on how to best use data.
When you talk about the economic gains and productivity benefits which are possible from AI, are you including the likely job losses that will occur because of the technology?
Yeah, so when we looked at the productivity benefits, we estimated the labour productivity benefits, which comes if a person, and we calculated that as the number of hours that a person saves on a task that they can then spend doing a higher value activity. We also looked at where people can do something better, which is a form of productivity that doesn't displace a human, obviously. And then we looked at where we get a benefit because we create new companies or new products, and therefore we're creating new growth and jobs. And so what we found is that in the vast majority of cases, generative AI isn't going to replace jobs. What it does is it changes some of the tasks in a jobs, and it helps people do them more efficiently. So in more than 85% of cases, less than a third of the things that people do in their job change as a result of generative AI. So that's why it doesn't necessarily have such a high impact on jobs being lost. But why that is so important is that if in, say, 10% or 30% of the tasks you're doing in your job, you can do them faster, you can do them better, you don't have to do less of the boring admin component of the job, and that can free you up to do higher value activity, like spending time on relationships or quality assuring work, then that gives us a productivity boost right across our economy. And that matters because our productivity is at a 60-year low. Our unemployment rate is at a pretty much a 50-year low at 3.5%, and we've got high inflation. So the thing that is putting the pressure on our economy at the moment is all those factors, and what we need to find is something that is going to get us out of that dynamic, and that's what I think generative AI offers.
To what extent do you see Australian business already engaging with generative AI, and how should organisations be thinking about harnessing its potential?
Australia has been a great adopter of business software over the years, and I think therefore we're well positioned to start using this next generation of technologies like generative AI. I do think, and we've seen globally, for example, with ChatGPT, that it achieved 100 million users in 2 months, which basically set the record for the adoption of a new technology of all time. But so there's definite interest in it, and I think a lot of people who are using it, particularly say small businesses or startups or people who don't have a lot of in-house staff, are experiencing it and finding it's really helpful to give them that extra time back in their lives to do the really important parts of their jobs. But I think at the moment, because there is a lot of discussion about the safety of AI, there's also some people who are probably wanting to hang back and to make sure that they're introducing it appropriately. And that makes a ton of sense. But I think the best thing to do going forward is to start to put a little more rigor around like what are the potential uses of AI, which ones of them are pretty safe and straightforward and have a benefit to businesses so people can have confidence in adopting them. I think we need to call out like where are there some applications that have more risk and therefore be more cautious about introducing them, and then to thirdly make sure that we've got the right regulatory and governance frameworks in Australia so that people can confidently use them.
In terms of meeting the challenges of the new roles of the future, what do schools and universities need to be aware of when educating tomorrow's workers?
This is such an important point. I think that generative AI is going to allow people to perform tasks in totally different ways to which they've been done before. And so our education system is going to have to adapt to that and help people to do that task with the benefit of these new technologies. And that, I don't think is going to be an overnight change. I think we're all still working through exactly how to best use these technologies. And, it will take time for that to flow through to our curriculum and our teaching practices. But that will be a really fundamental change that our education system is going to need to adjust to. And in doing that, we're also going to have to train people, though, in really core human skills like critical thinking and critical analysis. Because we know with generative AI, it can give us, particularly when we're doing like rote or routine tasks that are predictable and there's a lot of evidence base about what they should look like, generative AI can produce really accurate time-saving results. But it doesn't displace a human's ability to think creatively, to think critically. And so those kind of skills are going to become even more important in our education system.
Kate Pounder, thank you.
Thank you.